Welcome. NOAA has only just released its September of 2022 climate update, and this video is a summary of that report. Well, let's have a quick overview of what we're going to talk about today. It was the fifth warmest September on record of 143. La Nina is still present with a greater than 50% probability of it remaining until February of 2023. Global sea ice extent was the 8th lowest on record. Atmospheric carbon dioxide reached 415.95 parts per million, a new record for September. Extreme weather stories dominated the headlines worldwide. Well, let's see how these records were distributed around the globe. As I said, it was the fifth hottest September on record. North America had its hottest September. Interestingly enough, Europe had the coolest September for the last 9 years, and that's mainly because there was a lot of rain about and there were floods in Italy and Portugal. Asia had its fifth hottest September, Africa its sixth hottest. There was still a large area of cold sea off the west coast of South America, indicating that La Nina is persisting. Let's take a look at the map of how all these temperatures are distributed. On the right, we have what's called a percentiles map, which shows record highs and record lows. Record lows indicated by dark blue, and you see on the map there are none. Their record highs are indicated by dark red, and there are quite a few pixels that are dark red. And most of the rest of the globe is either much warmer than average or warmer than average. We actually take a look at the temperatures. Globally, we're 0.88 degrees centigrade above the 20th century average. Land contributed 1.22 degrees and oceans 0.75 degrees. The Northern Hemisphere was the fifth warmest on record at 1.17 degrees centigrade above the 20th century average. And the Southern Hemisphere was at 0.57 degrees and was the 13th warmest. We can try to see how temperatures are changing independent of El Nino. One way of doing that is to take the current Southern Oscillation Index, which is at 2.7, and look for similar values over the previous years and see what the global temperatures were. And I've got this plot here. We have an increase of global temperatures for a given SOI over the last 70 years or so. And it looks as though that even then that it's accelerating. Here's a matrix where I've compared the ranking of each month with the previous months of previous years, and you can see that I've got September in there as the fifth warmest, and you can compare 2021 with 2022. 2021 was the sixth warmest year on record, despite being almost entirely a La Nina year. La Nina has continued through this year, but temperatures are somewhat above where they were in 2021, so it looks as though 2022 will be about the sixth warmest year on record. To this point, we've been discussing average temperatures at the surface. Now let's take a look at the upper air, and this is the lower troposphere, which is the average temperature from 0 to 13 kilometers above the surface, with a weighted average due to the response of the instrument of about 4 kilometers. The global temperatures were similar to those of August. You can see there's the little purple spot on the far right of the graph. The long-term trend in these data is 0.11 degrees centigrade per decade, which seems quite low. However, another group, remote sensing systems, that uses the same data gets 0.2 degrees centigrade per decade, which is more like the surface temperatures, which are at about 0.17 degrees centigrade per decade. Take a look at the Arctic sea ice. It was the 11th lowest for a month of September in 2022. Comparing that to the Antarctic sea ice, which was the fifth lowest on record, if we look at the overall picture of the globe, adding this north and south hemispheres together, we're losing about 2.85% of our sea ice per decade. La Nina looks as though it's going to be around for a while as yet. This is the percentage chance of having a La Nina in each of the following months. At the moment, we're deeply in a La Nina, but over the next few months it's going to decline, and the probability drops below 50% after February of 2022, in which case ENSO neutral conditions start to dominate. Carbon dioxide continues its rise. It's now at 415.95 parts per million in September, which is a record compared with the same time last year. And that's an increase of 0.265 parts per million, which is a larger increase than we've been seeing recently in carbon dioxide content. That's somewhat worrying. For completeness, let's take a look at solar conditions. Solar cycle 25 is continuing to grow. It is well ahead of the prediction. The model is shown here in red. Sunspot number is leading the model by about 94%. The F10.7 centimeter radio flux is leading by 95%. And if both of those are approximately right, we would be expecting a solar cycle of the order of 234, which is nearly double what solar cycle 24 was. So I think it's safe to conclude that there's no sign of a grand solar minimum. As I said earlier, extreme weather events have been dominating the headlines recently. On the 1st of September, England declared that it had its hottest summer on record. The 5 warmest summers have all happened since 2003. On the 4th of September, a severe thunderstorm code yellow warning was issued for Wales with heavy rain, hail and lightning. On the 6th of September, Pakistan was still struggling to prevent a major lake from overflowing its banks as a result of the floods that they'd had earlier last month. On the 16th of September, a flash flood killed 10 people in Italy. 16 inches of rain fell in just a few hours. On the 18th of September, Pakistan floods, destroying already weak economy, and now disease was beginning to spread. Super Typhoon Nanmadol hit Japan with 230 kilometers per hour winds. 2 are dead, and power outages in 350,000 homes. On the 20th of September, Hurricane Fiona hit Puerto Rico with 20 inches of rain and killed most of the island's power again. The 21st of September, hurricane season picks up Gaston, Fiona, and 3 more regions. On the 22nd of September, England ended a fracking ban, which I think is a huge mistake, while Scotland wisely kept theirs. By the 24th of September, the extratropical storm Fiona hits Canada, which was the most powerful storm ever recorded to make landfall there. The 25th of September, Super Typhoon Nauru, which is of category 5, hit the Philippines with winds in excess of 160 miles per hour. On the 25th of September, 12,000 newly planted trees die from a heat wave in Gloucestershire. Then, of course, there's Hurricane Ian. On the 27th of September, a study showed that hurricanes are not becoming more frequent, but are becoming stronger, wetter, and slower moving, so are more devastating. And Ian proved that in spades when it hits Florida's west coast as a category 4 and killed 127 people. Just 2 days later, Hurricane Ian had crossed Florida, moved into the Atlantic Ocean, re-strengthened to a category 1 and killed 5 more people. So let's take a summary of what we've heard. La Nina is hanging on longer than expected. Globally, it was the 5th hottest September on record. Atmospheric carbon dioxide reached a new record for the month. And the sun is outpacing the models of solar cycle 25, and therefore likely there is no grand solar minimum. So thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.